Well, welcome everybody. Tonight we're really blessed to be joined by Stefania Basso, our accredited practicing dietitian. And Stefania is going to be presenting on a topic that I think a lot of you will find really helpful, and that is nutrition hacks for ADHD. And really, what this is, it's not just about ADHD. It's actually about for people who are busy, who don't have time for meal prep, but still want to make nutritious and healthy meals. So Stefania, thank you so much for coming tonight, and we're really looking forward to getting some of your ideas on healthy, nutritious meal ideas.
Yeah,
Over
no
to you.
problem. Yeah, pleasure to be here. Awesome. All right. So I'll share screen. Yeah, beautiful.
That's great.
Perfect. Hopefully that should pop up.
Yep, that's looking great.
Beautiful. All right, fantastic. So, yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for watching. So, look, today I'll just be going through a resource that we've developed in collaboration to sort of nice and succinctly put some information together, in regards to nutrition hacks for ADHD. So I'll basically be going, through the resource and speaking to it. I believe, Catherine, if I'm not mistaken, this will be available in some capacity.
It certainly is. It's already in our membership portal, so
Oh,
you can
cool.
refer back to this resource
Yeah,
for in the future.
perfect. All right, fantastic. So I'll just scroll on through. I apologize. It is a PDF document, so it's not as fancy going through as a PowerPoint. Beautiful. So, look, as exactly as you mentioned, Kath, as well, this does have a bit of a overtone for ADHD, but absolutely those just with the busier lifestyle that are just looking for quick and easy sort of solutions in the kitchen, I think will take away a lot, from this as well. But yeah, as I mentioned, I'll be speaking a little bit more to ADHD. So so basically, just as a little bit of an introduction, if you have been diagnosed or are in the diagnosis, process, or even just have an inkling that this might be a diagnosis for you. So ADHD is, basically a mental health condition that can make, weight management and generally, following a healthy diet a little bit more challenging than others. So as a general overview, one of the sort of, I suppose things that do come with ADHD is impulsivity. So and I will mention as well, this is again very much a generalization. Everybody's, sort of experience with ADHD is a little bit different, but like I said, it's just more of an overarching. So we find with impulsivity, it has a lot to do with basically, the brain's chemistry. So I'll read off basically what I've written here, and then I'll follow on with a little bit more information. But basically, hunger and dopamine are essential elements for our physiological and psychological makeup. And hunger signals our body's need for sustenance, and it's usually triggered by low energy levels. On the other hand, dopamine is a neurotransmitter which is associated with pleasure and reward in the brain. So, in those that do have ADHD, the interaction between hunger and dopamine can be quite unique because hunger signals our body's need for energy, while dopamine enhances the pleasure. So, those with ADHD, you might experience heightened impulsivity, which leads to sort of dopamine being released through eating, especially when you may be bored, stressed, or just in general, throughout the day, even though you may not be physiologically hungry. So basically, one of the key things that in my consultations, and even potentially in the doctor's consultations as well, is actually understanding hunger cues, because that can be quite challenging for those with ADHD. As a very high level, there's a few that have been sort of listed here that you can sort of sit and question yourself a little bit, but that's, where we come in as well and help really identify these. But basically, genuine signs of hunger tend to be when you're feeling hungry after a period of time of not eating. So if you're feeling hungry around sort of 2, 3, even 4 hours after your last meal or snack, it's usually a genuine sign of hunger. I suppose something more colloquially we know as hangry. So when you're feeling a little bit sort of irritable, if yeah, I suppose things are yeah, getting on your nerves a little bit easier, things are harder to rationalize, then it can just be the body crying out for some energy to help everything yeah, in the brain work a little bit more smoothly. Yeah, those physical signs of hunger. So, your stomach rumbling, even nausea as well. So going long, long periods without eating, the body, is trying to send you, very obvious signals that you're, craving some energy, and it can get to the point of nausea and also head fog. So if you're just feeling, yeah, I suppose a little bit, yeah, lethargic, you're feeling a bit sort of, yeah, tired. Again, it can just be the brain and the body just yelling out for just some energy. Um, on the other hand, this is where sort of, yeah, your dopamine seeking behaviors will come out, where we're seeking dopamine through food. So, as humans, we definitely, do eat for pleasure to some extent, but in those with ADHD, it is definitely exacerbated and a lot more frequent. So yeah, basically your dopamine seeking behaviors are all of a sudden, you just get a really intense sudden craving, especially for those more palatable foods. So yeah, I suppose your traditional, sweet and salty foods. Boredom as well. So if you're doing an activity or through the day where you are not feeling stimulated in what you are doing, your brain is sort of scattering, looking for other things to yeah, get that dopamine hit. I suppose that also flows into low stimulation. So again, if yeah, just you're sitting throughout the day or doing an activity that is very laborsome for you, your body is screaming for that hit of dopamine, and that's where the food can sort of come in and address that for us. And I suppose lastly, knowing within within yourself that you're using food, yeah, to stay motivated. So using it as a bit of a reward. So I know that definitely translates out to other circumstances, but it's yeah, again, quite prevalent in those with ADHD. So
I
yeah,
might just ask you a few questions around that, because
yeah,
I'm reflecting on, so if we understand a little bit more about ADHD, it's a neurodiverse
yeah,
condition. It's a condition where there's a lack of dopamine and noradrenaline, and
mhm,
those neurotransmitters help us with things like initiating tasks, with
yes,
organizing tasks,
absolutely,
with having, motivation to kind of get things started. It helps with concentration, with seeing things through. And so if you think about a typical thing like preparing a meal, we've
absolutely.
got so many elements to that, like, getting a recipe, finding a recipe that's appealing, looking through the list of ingredients, shopping for those ingredients, getting it home,
Absolutely.
preparing to cook, following that recipe through to completion, serving the food up. All those things actually take, there's quite a few steps in that. And
Absolutely.
many of my patients say that they really struggle with meal planning, with meal
Mhm.
organization, with, just even there's so much going on in their brain that it's actually really hard just to think about putting a meal on the table, and let alone a meal that's healthy. So I think it is a really challenging situation. What do you find in that area, Steph, for your patients?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that was definitely it was going to be my sort of following point on the next sort of page, speaking a little bit more to sort of these additional factors that come in. It's not just recognizing hunger cues, exactly as you said, Kath, it's all these other things combined as well. And yeah, it's known as sort of executive function. So you may hear that sort of term thrown around, I suppose, in in within your diagnosis, or psychiatrist, psychologist, ourselves, we might throw it around. But yeah, that executive function is yeah impacted. And as you said, Kath, it does, it absolutely gets in the way of planning, organization, time management. So it does absolutely make meal planning consistently, quite a task.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
In other
also
words, in other
yeah,
words, don't blame yourself, don't be hard on
absolutely.
yourself.
Oh, Absolutely.
And that's why, you've cleverly put this resource together,
Yeah.
because the job of this resource is to make all that easy.
Yeah,
So thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, so this is just a page again, yeah, to highlight basically what we've already sort of, yeah, been through. I suppose the other side of it as well to quickly mention is, yeah, I suppose the, yeah, of ADHD is also under eating as well and skipping meals and actually not getting enough nutrition, as well. So that's the other side of it. And we know that, yeah, ADHD medication, yeah, can lead to that as well. So that's something, we definitely want to acknowledge as well. So this is easy sort of meals and tips and tricks, but also the nutrition side of things, making sure that, yeah, you're getting enough nutrition for your body to function as well.
Yeah, and I think part of that is when with ADHD, it can be a problem of hyper focusing. So really getting
Yes,
engrossed in some work
absolutely.
and getting so engrossed forgetting to eat. So one of the things that we suggest you do is to have regular meal times as a start. So, whether that's setting an alarm or
Yes,
working to the clock and saying, well, my meals must be at sort of 8, 12, and 6, or 8, 1, and 6, whatever that might be, so that it's because what happens is if you don't eat, then of course, by the time you do eat, you're ravenously hungry and really
that's it.
looking for something, and it'll be the quickest and easiest thing that you can get, right? Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I suppose, something that yeah, we call sort of predictive hunger. So, I know out there in the, yeah, just in general, the health sort of, and weight management sort of world, there is a lot out there at the moment, listening to your hunger and fullness cues. And obviously, that's an element that we absolutely believe in, but it can be a challenge, yeah, with ADHD. On top of that, obviously, we, with Olivia, we work with, yeah, weight loss medications. So, yeah, sometimes it can be overriding that and looking at more predictive hunger. So, although you may not be particularly hungry, and if you've set an alarm at, midday, you're not particularly hungry, I suppose, knowing that if you do skip that meal, that, it's going to translate to, yeah, quite intense hunger, later on. So you're just giving your body, that nutrition, that energy, in the middle of the day to help get you through to dinner. Yeah, so that's another challenge as well.
Yeah. And the other thing that you've put down there around the binge eating. So
Yes.
there's good evidence to suggest that patients who live with ADHD often have an element of binge eating, or vice versa. Patients who've got binge eating disorder can
Mm,
have ADHD. And that's because these two conditions actually have a common pathway. They both are conditions where there's a lack of noradrenaline and dopamine, those neurotransmitters that help with impulse control. If you think about binge eating, sometimes there can be, looking for food for stimulation, for reward, difficulty in kind of controlling those impulses, and eating to the point of feeling overfull, even to the point of feeling sick. So if you've got ADHD and you have disordered eating, or you have difficulty controlling food, again, you're not alone. And have a chat to your GP about that, because we want to sort of manage those two things together. And if the first step is identifying that, and there's some screening tools that we can do to have a look at that, and then it's getting on with addressing both ADHD and binge eating together.
yeah, absolutely. Yep, yep. Beautiful. All right. So, yeah, so I suppose, yeah, well, we've spoken a bit about the background. I suppose now it's yeah, time to get into the sort of nitty-gritty yeah, side of things. So I suppose, yeah, look, the key message is keeping it simple. One thing, and look, this is definitely just more of a personal anecdote, having, yeah, spoken to many clients that do have ADHDs. That sort of, we coin it sort of that health, health halo, where, health has to look a certain way. And I know the way it's presented, through social media is that sort of classic sort of photo of meal preparation, where everyone's got their, their snacks so neatly lined together, their pieces of fruit and, all their meal prep done for the week. And that's, we sort of hail that as perfection and something to strive for. But I think, within ADHD is just, yeah, acknowledging that, perfection, not that we aim for perfection, but your sort of consistency is going to look different every day. And not to aim for that, yeah, that level of perfectionism, because, yeah, it's not something that we aim for anyway, but I know it can be quite.
I'm relieved. I'm relieved because it's very messy in my house, and there's
Yeah,
definitely kilos around my food. So
yeah,
um,
absolutely.
it can kind of set you up for that feeling of failure, can't it? If you look at those
Yeah,
social feeds and go, oh,
absolutely.
my lunch boxes should look like that, or my kids' lunch should be
That's it.
perfect. So we say
Absolutely.
progress over perfection,
That's
that
it. Yep.
making progress in the direction of good health, that's better than aiming for
Yes.
perfection.
That's it. Absolutely. Beautiful. So yeah, so the way that we've sort of broken it down is getting really into the practical side of things. So and this is just sort of being accumulated by conversations I've had with clients with ADHD, and just generally just looking at other resources, what's out there, and sort of coming together and creating this resource. So basically, as a bit of an overview, what we'll go through is just ways to really simplify your space in the kitchen as well, and the way that we look at meal prepping. So first thing that we'll go through is just sort of kitchen ingredient staples. So just your stock standard ingredients that are basic ingredients for most recipes. Likewise with kitchen utensil and tool staples. So again, just being stocked with all these tools that will make meal preparation a little bit easier for you. We'll go through just some general meal planning tips. And then the biggest part of this particular resource is quick and easy meal ideas that basically you could throw together in less than 30 minutes. And they're designed specifically around, supermarket options. So before we get into it, but just as an idea, just a bit of microwavable rice and tuna. So some along those lines, but we'll get into it a little bit more. I know, again, with those basics, what can make things a little bit more interesting, especially, giving us that little bit of dopamine is making the food obviously quite palatable. So as a part of this, I've just added in some lower calorie condiments. So really handy, if you've got just a base of, again, if we use, tuna and rice, you can easily add some condiments in there just to, change up the flavor from day to day and make it a little bit more interesting. And then lastly, one thing that we speak about quite commonly is the great thing with supermarket sort of pre-prepared meals. They've come a very, very long way. I think just in general, a lot of people depend on them because of our busy lifestyles, but they're there for convenience, and at the same time, obviously the demand for these meals to be nutritious has been listened to. So I know there's initially when they came out, obviously they were quite high in salt. They didn't really take, vegetables into consideration because they weren't the easiest thing to add to these meals. So it was easier for them just to leave them out. But as I'm sure you've all, stepped into a supermarket, and they're great options at the moment as well. Beautiful. All right. So basically, so as Dr. I was going to say call you Dr. Catherine. As
You can
Catherine has
call me
mentioned.
anything you like, Steph.
So this is absolutely available on the website, but very printable, something that you can sort of bring to the supermarket with you, or even I was going to say a great thing is just to go online and place an order through your preferred supermarket. But going through some pantry ideas, so basically just having an oil for cooking, vinegar for salad dressings. Soy sauce, comes into things a lot as well. Salt, pepper, stock powder as well. So a lot of recipes, call for stock, but I find myself I don't actually use the entire sort of bottle of the pre-made liquid stock, so I end up throwing a lot of it out. So that's where stock powder comes in handy. It's quite shelf stable, and you can use it as you go as well. So it just reduces wastage. Again, likewise with garlic and onion powder. So they can be used really interchangeably instead of using, sort of fresh onion or fresh garlic. And obviously, if we don't use them in time, again, something that, they're perishable, go off, we end up throwing them out. Where obviously, your onion and garlic powders are, really shelf stable. Likewise with chili flakes, obviously, if you like a little bit of spice, likewise with paprika. Again, likewise, going for dried herbs as opposed to fresh. So, when you go and buy some herbs, you get, quite a decent amount of it, and all you really need is one sprig. So again, you end up throwing, a decent amount out. So going for your dried options are usually, usually best there in regards to wastage. Canned tomato, so really good for a lot of bases again. Likewise with sort of your canned tuna, salmon. That's also with, beans, canned veggies, for example. So again, really shelf stable, reduces wastage. Microwavable rice, and then breads, wrap, pasta, rolled oats. Those type of carbohydrates are usually great sort of bases to add, add onto meals. And then likewise more of your options just to have in sort of the fridge and freezer. So Greek yogurt, so great to have as a snack for breakfast, even just to use as a dressing as well. So yogurt's quite versatile. Eggs, again, I know we usually talk about eggs traditionally for breakfast, but really great to make like a zucchini slice or just have eggs on toast for dinner. So eggs are quite versatile as well. Likewise with cheese. And then again, going for more of those perishable foods, looking for options that are a little bit more sort of, freezer stable, I suppose. So minced garlic that you can get in sort of a squeezable, little squeezable container. There's lots of other herbs and spices that come in that option as well. Or your frozen veggies. You can now get frozen diced onion as well, which is obviously a base for a lot of recipes. So saving yourself having to cut through an onion yourself, and again that wastage, you can take out what you need and it's done for you. Frozen fruit, again, great addition for breakfast into smoothies. And likewise, we spoke about the salad dressings as well. So, they can make a pretty bland meal quite interesting as well. So, yeah.
I think the key words there were done for you. I think it's great to have that convenience. There's cauliflower rice in the freezer section now. There's the diced onion already done for you. The herbs in the squeezy packets, the microwave-able rice. How easy it's actually become, so much easier to be able to actually pull together a meal. So it doesn't have to be hard. It's just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And if you stock up your fridge or pantry with these staples, then you're already probably halfway there to getting your meals done. Yeah.
Yeah. And what we generally find, once you have your staples, all sort of loaded up in the kitchen, fridge and freezer, it becomes a lot easier. The trips to the supermarket become a lot shorter, because you're just sort of picking up, potentially really specific things you may not have for a recipe, but you've got most of the things there at home ready to go. Yeah. Beautiful. So perfect. So next little slide. Oh, sorry, I have the little wheel of doom there that I call it when it's loading. So these are kitchen staples. So look, definitely understand with a few of these options, it does come down to to budget, also space within the kitchen as well. So definitely keeping that in mind, but generally speaking, these have been quite helpful tools. So I know obviously a lot of us jumped on the air fryer bandwagon for the exact reason that it did make things a lot easier. And it's a nice sort of set and forget. They're so user friendly. You can set the time, the temperature, so you can put something in there, walk away. I know, I've made things multiple times, forgot to turn off the oven, and you have charcoal chips for dinner. So
me too. Charcoal is one of my specialties.
Absolutely. Likewise, if I'm not paying attention or set a timer on my phone. And I know, ovens can be quite complex to use. They're very your more traditional ovens. So air fryers have been a bit of a game changer. And on top of that as well, because of the brilliant engineers that have come up with it, definitely reduces the amount of oil needed to get that sort of crispy, sort of batter or vegetable texture that we're after. So from a health perspective, really handy as well, because it needs significantly less oil to get the same effect as potentially deep frying. So so air fryers are fantastic. There's air fryer cookbooks out there now, and you'll probably notice, and some of the examples will be mentioned later on, but in the supermarket, there's basically things that are ready to go in the air fryer. So, your pre-crumbed sort of protein options, basically designed for the air fryer. So, and the great thing is most things are done within sort of 15 minutes. Again, if you, yeah, you sort of have something to do for half an hour, if you go back, you still have your, your whatever you've cooked won't be inedible. Obviously, it turns off by itself. So it's really, really helpful, and really great for leftovers as well. So, I know just generally speaking, people are a bit adverse to leftovers because they're soggy the next day or don't have the best texture. Air fryer sort of helps solve that as well, because it helps get things back to its former glory. So air fryers are great in that respect. To make things even easier for yourself, there's these great, you can just get these silicone inserts. A bit of a Google, you can find them online or in most homeware stores. But these make it even easier. So sometimes cleaning the basket of the air fryer can be quite laborsome as well, and just a whole task within itself. Whereas, if just putting those silicone sort of inserts in, obviously take it out, chuck it in the washing machine, my goodness. Well, you can if you want. The dishwasher is what I was meant to say. And you've basically, you've cleaned, your air fryer without having to get, right into it, basically. Yeah. So that's one tool. A second thing that I've found to be a game changer is a mandolin slicer. So, no one part of meal preparation is just what goes into sort of chopping and cutting, your fruits and veggies. Something like this can, almost halve quarter the time you spend doing that. So, obviously, there's all different types of slicers available there. As you can see, they come with a lot of different attachments as well, depending on what you're after. But even the most basic, mandolin slicer will do your thin slicing, your chopping as well. So, this one's a game changer, saves, a lot of time. So, you can do an onion in a minute. I know I spend a lot of time with, the tears as well. So, this can be really, really helpful. Beautiful. And this one might be a bit sort of, left of center, but I suppose what I found in conversation is actually the type of cookware that you use can be quite a factor in deciding whether you are going to create a meal. So funnily enough, so, the weight or the difficulty in regards to sort of cleaning particular sort of utensils can play into it. So I had one client who at home used a lot of ceramic, which was quite heavy. Cleaning it was quite laborsome because it required a degree of strength. She by happenstance found a stainless steel bowl, and she found that she was much more likely to cook, and she found it less laborsome because, again, something like that you can just easily rinse it off, a lot lighter, easier to maneuver. So she found just that that slight difference of effort, perceived effort, made a big difference. So sometimes it can just be changing the utensils. So two examples are just going for sort of your more lightweight options. And usually it tends to be going for something silicone. So that goes for, the inserts above. Again, something that you can just chuck in the dishwasher, non-stick, so easier to maintain as well. So there's some options to look into as well to make your life a little bit easier. Beautiful. So perfect. So the next one that we'll go through continues on with the kitchen staples. So this is more of your meal preparation and storage. So so one thing that we find is quite common in those with ADHD is object permanence. So basically it's this phenomena where if something's hidden in the back of a pantry or fridge, we forget altogether that we have it. It's not until we do, we get a little burst of motivation that we start cleaning, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I had that in the pantry or in the fridge. And unfortunately, it probably gets to the point where it's well and truly past its use by date. So usually, some sort of organization can be quite helpful to make everything quite visible or to the forefront of your pantry and fridge. So I'll skip to
I'll just say too, you can hack that as well because, with permanence, you can equally put the things that, maybe the treat foods that you don't really want to be having often towards away from that line of sight.
Absolutely.
Top shelf,
Absolutely.
bottom shelf, back of the pantry. If it was me, I'd still know that's there. But
Absolutely.
and
For sure.
another one of our doctors talked about having a basket in the fridge, which is
Yeah,
just called use this first. So,
yep,
the veggies that are, close to getting by their use by
yeah,
date, they might just go in the use this first basket at the front. So, yeah, all those ideas just help to keep those,
yeah,
fresh things front and center,
yeah.
and the sort of calorie dense foods away from line of sight.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And another thing we find as well, I suppose, all these brands of foods, obviously they want to be quite eye-catching and have, really lovely, sorry, designs. When you put it all in your pantry, it's so overwhelming and you don't know what's what. So sometimes taking that noise away and emptying it in just a plain container sort of helps, just simplify just what you're looking at, and it just helps your brain organize as
So true.
well. Yeah, and on top of that as well, sometimes, I think, yeah, I know there's a couple of videos I've watched of people going through wondering why certain foods are packaged a certain way because they just don't make sense or they're really inconvenient. One of them is a flour packet where, you open it and you lose half the flour as soon as you open it, creating a bit of a mess. So again, putting that more in a user-friendly, container, it's going to reduce the mess, make it a little bit easier to manage in general. So that's where these, clear sort of pantry storage containers can come in handy. And again, obviously, doing a little bit of a label will be quite helpful. So it's sometimes hard to tell the difference between sugar and salt if you're not paying attention. So that's obviously where the labels come in there as well. Beautiful. So we've also, got food storage containers as well. So that goes into, I suppose, if you are doing meal preparation or simply just have, leftovers, even looking for transferable options. So even something that's more glass or sort of microwave friendly. So when you're sort of packing up dinner for the night, putting it into a glass container, and then you've got lunch ready to go for the next day, without having to double up on cleaning and transferring from another container, from one container to another. So,
That's a
they're
great, I love that idea. And it's what I do frequently as well is,
yeah,
the leftovers are fantastic. You've already gone to the effort of making the meal.
yes.
My dogs are wanting to say hi as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got that leftovers already done for the next day. And I think you spoke of this when you spoke to us as doctors, meal prep is if you're preparing one meal, why not
Yeah.
prepare two or three? Like you're already in the act of it. So yeah, increase the volume, make yourself some leftovers, pop them away in one of those freezer containers, and then you're good to go. The other thing we were discussing this today at lunchtime was, and yeah, I know you haven't got on there yet, was the slow cooker idea. And
Yeah. Yes.
there's someone was talking about how if they're doing some meal prep, they'll chop up all their carrots, they'll chop up their green beans, their onion, their chicken, their tomato sauce, pop it all in like a big Ziploc bag,
Yep.
store them in the freezer, and then it's like, bang, okay, there's my
Yep.
slow cooker meal. Chuck it in at the start of the day, done, ready to go. So pulling
Yep.
those out can be, it's great. You can just pop it on at the start of the day. It's done for you when you get home. And if you do a batch of those and pop them in the freezer with the
Yep.
ingredients all in one bag ready to go, that's another super easy idea as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that flows really nicely into the next one, which is, those these Ziploc bags. So I was going to look, they obviously don't need to be, reusable, but I know a lot of people that I'm speaking to at the moment, they're conscious of, their waste. So they tend to prefer using the reusable sort of Ziploc bags that, again, really easy. You can just chuck them in the dishwasher to clean as well. But yeah, absolutely. It's sort of, they're great for meal prepping, exactly as you mentioned. With even just smoothie, chopping up some things for fruit for smoothies as well, and chucking those in the fridge. So again, you've got those ready to go. And even again, leftovers as well. Or sometimes I know this happens to me. We're filling containers of foods that we've purchased to go into the pantry. We have a little bit of overflow, so those are great just to use first as well. So yep. And then likewise, look, reusable lids. So I know, definitely my Tupperware drawer slash, I was going to say, slash cupboard slash wherever I can fit them is very disorganized. And we all lose, Tupperware lids or can't find, we don't put them back where they're meant to be. And it becomes a big, a bit stressful. So yeah, people have mentioned these reusable lids have been really handy. You can get them in lots of different sizes, but yeah, obviously they and shapes as well. They don't just come in a circle shape, but really versatile. So you're not there sort of having to struggle to find the right lid. If you don't have it, lost it, then that pops over something quite nicely. Or even just again, if you've used a stainless steel bowl and you're like, you know what, I don't want to put this in another container. Again, just chuck on the reusable lid if you know you're going to have it the day before or later on. Yeah. So again, it saves extra cleaning. Beautiful. So, all right. So that pretty much covers the sort of more physical side of it. This is more of the art side of it. So meal preparation and recipes. So perfect. So look, I haven't done this in any particular order, and it's not to say that you have to do these all at once either. These are just some ideas. And again, consistency can just be doing one of these things frequently. It doesn't have to be that picture of perfection by any means. So first thing I find that I go through in my consultations is, I suppose, that overwhelm of, trying to find recipes. So I know, looking at recipes online, before they get to the actual recipe, they do have to tell you, their life story of how their grandpa grew up on a farm. And, I know for those with ADHD, reading long, long paragraphs is not, not our forte by any means. Usually just finding some great recipes that sort of just get straight to it can help, again, reduce all the noise. So that's where, myself, we come in and sort of help with, recipe books that we recommend. Obviously, we are in the space of weight loss and weight management. So we tend to look for more of those, calorie friendly, nutritious meals. And just an example I've used is the CSIRO cookbook. So the great thing, and this is just one example of many, but the great thing we find with these is, they're Australian based. So their recipes are I suppose the ingredients are easy to find, and genuinely they take a maximum of 30 minutes. On top of that as well, obviously, if you're part of the membership program, we've got our recipes online as well. So we've got a few there that should give you some inspiration there as well. I know, Kath, if you were going to jump in.
Yeah, you could actually, with the recipes there, you can search by, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can look for a recipe that's got chicken in it. Let's say, you've got, chicken tomatoes, you can throw that into the search bar and find the right recipe. There's, around 200 recipes in there for a bit of inspiration. Our dietitians as well, if you're seeing them, then they can actually put together some specific meal plans if you'd find that helpful with recipes and shopping lists. So it kind of takes that thinking out of you, and then you can just kind of plug that into your online ordering and get that food delivered home. So that we've tried to do those things to take the thinking out for you. But often, it might be that you are just incorporating, like you popped in there, one or two recipes per week, perhaps, where you might have a good staple of things that you're familiar with, because wholesale changes are often hard. So it might be focusing on, I'm going to introduce one or two new recipes to my repertoire, and you might do that each week until you've got, some really nutritious and healthy meals, and you've changed the focus of what you're eating. So preventing overwhelm, start with one or two things and then gradually build up over time is often helpful as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, I suppose the saying is, Rome definitely wasn't built in a day. So we're definitely doing it, brick by brick. Absolutely. So it can be as simple, exactly as you said, just starting with one new recipe, per week, keeping everything else the same. And then before you know it, your repertoire has expanded, and you're feeling a lot more confident in the kitchen as well. So so finding recipes, however, that looks for you. Secondly is using, I say sort of a magnetic meal planner. I say that because I suppose, writing it down, again, if it's in a book, close it, lost forever. We rarely go back to it. So yeah, having a sort of meal plan that's sort of stuck on a fridge, even just to jot down, it can be really basic ideas. So it does, again, like the recipes, it doesn't have to be a complete week that's been planned and mapped out. It's just, chucking on some ideas just to give even the week some sort of structure and flow. I suppose another benefit with having the meal plan sort of visible is to also help with depending who you live with, whether it be family, housemates, for example, but getting everyone else on board as well. So I know I speak to a lot of mothers, and again, more of a generalization, but tend to be responsible for making the home meals, and the onus and responsibility is mainly on them, and they find it quite overwhelming. So it's sometimes, putting the plan on the board, if there's, sort of older teenage, adult children, even, significant other or housemates, as I mentioned, they can get on board and maybe do, some of the meal prep, or just share the load as well. So if there's that communal plan, it can be really, helpful to take the onus off a particular person who may be responsible for the entire family or household.
And we
So
have got a little meal plan downloadable as well. So if you prefer
yeah,
to sort of jot it down on a piece of paper, stick it on the fridge, we've got a
yep,
little, map out a Monday through Sunday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then that way you've just got a bit of a framework of what you intend to eat for the week. There's a little bit of structure. If you can't cook,
yep,
then somebody else can kind of jump in as
yeah.
well. And yeah, it just helps to organize thoughts and give everyone a bit of clarity around what's happening this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, that can be definitely, challenging to sort of delegate tasks. Yeah, when you've got ideas obviously in your head, and the way that, I suppose you plan things out. But yeah, with a bit of practice, it does, again, it becomes a little bit easier. Beautiful. And then, lastly is online grocery shopping, as opposed to, physically going to supermarkets. So I suppose, it's sort of two hallmark things with ADHD is, the sort of decision overwhelm, sort of walking in, especially not going in with a plan. It can be, really overwhelming. And many clients have mentioned to me, they walk in and straight away walk out because it's, it's just too much. So online, obviously, you're in a more comfortable environment. There's no pressure. You're not trolling down, the aisles. So usually online shopping is a little bit more relaxing. And then the other part of it as well is that impulsivity. So, seeing something that sort of catches your eye, and it sort of, finds its way in your basket. But also, tending to, if you haven't gone in with a list, forgetting a very, important ingredient, which can be quite frustrating. So the great thing with online shopping is it does sort of help keep you on the straight and narrow. For the most part, definitely less overwhelming. And reviewing, your cart before you purchase as well. So if there's anything that you missed, obviously you can go back and and put it in. And obviously, shopping online, it makes it a little bit easier to, from a visual perspective, to organize, the thoughts around it. So we find that online grocery shopping is really helpful as well. Beautiful. So perfect. So now I think, we get into some ideas. So it is, excuse the title page. So we sort of start off with, I suppose breakfast ideas. The way that this has been created is, sort of separating the particular foods into, as you can see, protein, vegetables. I suppose I should have done that more as sort of like your fiber, but I suppose lots of different foods contain lots of different different things, so they sort of do mesh into a few different categories. So I've tried to make it as I suppose succinct as possible. And then in that, sort of last column, so you have your carbohydrates and any extras that just sort of help tie the recipe together. So one thing that Catherine told me, it reminded me, was that this is obviously not an extensive or exhaustive list of products that are available, and obviously combinations of different products you can put together. It's more just to get the creative juices sort of flowing, and obviously adapt them to your preference. Obviously everyone is so different. With the particular brands that have been used here, they tend to be more of the sort of calorie conscious options of, yeah, for example, you know, your the yogurt option there with the Chobani. So generally speaking, it tends to be a lower fat, lower sugar yogurt compared to some others on the market. So the options there are, yeah, more of your calorie friendly, higher protein options. But again, you know, they're not the only brand that exists that do those, yeah, that do these things. So you're more than welcome to find alternative brands. So beautiful. So yeah, start off with brekkie. So you've got, you know, I suppose just yeah, just a single pot of your yogurt. To make it a little bit more interesting, that's where you can yeah, sort of add a tablespoon or two of yeah, some muesli on top for a bit of crunch. Likewise with a bit of Weet-Bix, and then top that up with a bit of fruit. So with this as well, I haven't added, you know, the nutrient breakdown because everybody's needs are so unique. So that's where I suppose, you know, yeah, a consultation may be handy. You know, if you're really liking these ideas but unsure of, yeah, sort of what your calorie goals are or your protein goals are, we can obviously go into this in a bit of detail and really break it down. But yeah, the great thing is with these as well, you know, they're mainly supermarket options, so the nutrition panel is quite, yeah, is there, and yeah, it can be easy to sort of get work out in your mind as well if you know roughly what you're looking for. Beautiful. So perfect. Then we've got yeah, look, eggs with a bit of cheese, some veggies on a slice of two of toast. Eggs, very versatile. So, you know, you can make yourself an omelette, you know, scrambled eggs. Again, you know, if you've got some time during the start of the week, you can sort of, you know, pre-chop some mushrooms, capsicum and spinach and chuck it in a bag. So you've got that in there ready to go. But yeah, just with a bit of a fry pan, mix that all together, cook it for a couple of minutes, toast a bit of, yeah, a slice of toast, and you've got a really well-balanced meal there. The great thing with, yeah, eggs on toast, not only, you know, for breakfast, great lunch, great dinner option as well. So there's an option. And then going for more of
Yeah.
your convenience. Yeah,
Can I interrupt for a moment? I'll
yeah,
just remind you, and this
yeah,
might sort of bump off your screen sharing for a moment.
yeah,
But I'll just remind you in the members area, we have one of my favorite breakfasts. I think if you're looking for something quick and easy, is those little breakfast muffins, or because, you know, those little egg muffins, you can just make them up in batches. They're
yeah,
high in protein. You can throw in whatever kind of condiments you want there, whether it's going to be, you know, some tomato, ham and cheese and a bit of
yeah,
onion, or it might be some, you know, chicken and asparagus, or other different sort of protein and veggie combinations in there. When you make them up in big batches, that they can just be frozen, chucked in the freezer. You pull out one or two in for your breakfast, and they're really good for on the go as
yeah,
well.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, back to you.
Beautiful. All right. So, yep, perfect. Okay. Beautiful. Is that, yeah, back on screen?
Yep, you're
Yep,
good.
fantastic. Beautiful. So yeah, so other breakfast ideas as well is, yeah, again, going down the more convenience route. I suppose you up and go, Rokeby Farms do a protein smoothie as well. So I suppose both of them are marketed as sort of a breakfast smoothie. But they're, yeah, quite high in protein, great for on the go. And then yeah, look, pairing that if you feel with a piece of fruit as well, just for some extra fiber, that these can be quite a little bit low in. So great, yeah, sort of grab and go option there. Then we've got, yeah, I suppose a bit of, so this can be interpreted in many ways. So you can use these ingredients here to make a smoothie. Otherwise, you know, something like overnight oats as well. So again, and these can be meal prepped as well. So the great thing with overnight oats, you can make a batch. They last in the fridge for about sort of 3 to 4 days. So you can make, yeah, 3 to 4 serves. Yeah, place it in a larger container and just take, you know, a quarter out every time, or you can, you know, put them in sort of smaller containers as well. Takes about, yeah, a couple of minutes. All you need to do is mix the ingredients together, pour them in your container and set it in the fridge, and then the next day you've got, yeah, or you've got breakfast, you know, for 4 days in a row. And the great thing is, you know, even if you just wanted to make the plain base with your milk, yogurt and rolled oats, that's when you can be playful with what you put on top. You know, change the fruit. If you change the nuts, change, you know, the toppings. If you want to put a little bit of sugar-free syrup or a bit of peanut butter, for example. So yeah, really, really versatile as well.
And then again, there's a nice Bircher
Yeah,
muesli recipe in the membership area as well for a bit of
yeah.
inspiration.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say, yeah, that gives you the more, yeah, I suppose the measurements that go into it.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's great.
Yeah. Following on from that, I've just seen these myself. So particularly the Carmen's brand. So they've pre-made overnight oats. So all you need to do to this is either add water or milk and chuck it in the fridge. So it's got, as you can see, that one's a cacao and hazelnut flavor. They've got a lot of other flavors as well. So that's an even easier option as what we've just discussed. Otherwise, yeah, again, likewise with as we were speaking with the pre-prepared meals, muesli bars have also come a long way as well. So, you know, there's no doubt that they're, you know, a really convenient option for some nutrition. So, yeah, you know, now there's a lot out there that have tried to be a little bit more calorie friendly, tried to, you know, look at lower sugar, what's the word? Methods, I suppose, of making them, and also, yeah, putting in a little bit more fiber as well. So these are, again, just two brands that tend to be on the lower calorie side of things, higher protein. And again, yeah, you know, pairing that with a bit of fruit just for some extra fiber and sustenance as well. Here we've got some, I suppose this lends itself more to a smoothie. So again, a bit of yogurt, milk, whatever, you know, whatever milk takes your fancy. And again, just playing around with some seeds to make it easier for yourself, using that. This is where the frozen fruit comes in handy, or even sort of tinned fruit as well. So again, you know, lasts for a very long time in the freezer, very low wastage, and yeah, you know, you can change it up. You know, you're not forced to have mango every day, you know, for for the week. You know, you can get sort of frozen berries. So, you know, one day have berries, one day have, you know, your frozen mango, for example. So it makes things quite versatile. Beautiful. This is also something new I came across. So yeah, high protein sort of pancake mix. So I know in general they've been around for a really long time, but they haven't been in supermarkets. It's usually been in a sort of a health food store offering. But now, yeah, the Greens brand is available, and you can just pick that up from the supermarket. So again, adding a bit of milk, and then yeah, topping that with, I've just put here some sugar-free maple syrup. But again, you know, whatever sort of topping you like. But yeah, it takes a couple of minutes to cook a couple of those up as well. Again, you don't have to use the entire batter. You can, you know, halve it if you just wanted to make yourself some yeah, you know, a single serve. Or the great thing is you can sort of pre-prepare yeah, pancakes as well, put those in the fridge and reheat those. Beautiful. So then, yeah, look, I suppose we get more to yeah, more of your sort of more bulkier meals, so your more traditional sort of yeah, lunch and dinners. So a lot of these, as I mentioned, will center around sort of your ready to go supermarket options. So, and as you'll probably see here, a lot of salad kits come into the mix. So they're fantastic, and yeah, there's such a large variety. So I know it'll keep yeah, keep you interested for quite a long time. It's hard to get sick of them with how many are available at the moment. Beautiful. But yeah, so for, I suppose, first cab off the rank here, you've got a bit of yeah, salmon. So I know people love salmon, but they're a bit unsure as to how to cook it. So, you know, they tend to not have it because of that. So now there's some sort of pre-cooked options that, again, just need to be whacked into the the microwave. That could be paired really nicely and made into a bit of a, I suppose, like a bowl with a bit of brown rice and some, yeah, some coleslaw. And down the bottom, again, you know, there's some condiments you can add to that. So, you know, for example, some low-fat, you know, mayonnaise, a bit of sriracha, or even, yeah, some other, like soy sauce, for example, that will help tie that quite nicely together. Again, I know many people are fans of, yeah, sort of crackers and, you know, various toppings. They can be an absolutely, you know, great option as well. So we tend to, yeah, lean towards more of those multigrain or sort of seeded crackers, just because they tend to be higher fiber, higher protein, a bit more nutritious, as opposed to, yeah, I suppose more of your plainer options as well. So a little bit more satiating. And again, you know, just adding whatever type of veggie you like on top of that with, yeah, again, a bit of tuna, cheese. You can use cottage cheese, cream cheese. So really, really versatile. And I know, yeah, on the VitaWheat website, they've actually got a few really interesting recipes on there as well. Yeah, that are quite creative and sort of concoctions I never thought of putting together. So yeah, that can be quite interesting as well. Beautiful. Then I suppose, yeah, you've got, I was going to say with fried rices now, they're not just your plain, yeah, sort of fried rice, yeah, sorry, microwavable rice is what I meant to say there. But yeah, Ben's Original is sort of one that comes to the forefront of my mind, where they've got, you know, coconut rice. They do have their own fried rice, Mexican rice, that's sort of pre-flavored for you. And again, just simply yeah, chuck into the microwave and you've got yourself a really nice base. And then topping that with, yeah, basically whatever you feel would suit. But yeah, usually, you know, a tin of fish goes nicely with that, with a bit of avocado, and yeah, sort of making yourself like an open sushi roll. I've seen that float around. I know if out there like me, you know, get a bit of inspiration on TikTok. So that sort of popped up in the past, and it's quite tasty. Yeah. Beautiful. So I know we tend to shy away from, yeah, sandwiches and wraps, but to be honest, they're, you know, for the most part, they're a fantastic option. And again, for the most part, quite easy to throw together. Here we've got, I suppose, a bit more of a, you know, more of a burger option. But again, what makes a huge difference is with the mince used, you know, going for an extra lean mince as opposed to a fattier mince. And there can be a significant change in the protein and the calorie content just by making that change as well. But the great thing with them is you can load it up with veggies and again, use a, you know, a seeded roll to make a really well-balanced meal. Beautiful. And then yeah, so again with your protein using sort of, yeah, pre-marinated yeah, options. So obviously supermarket options, you know, butchers are great for that as well. You know, they get quite creative with their marinades. So, you know, they're all ready to go. All they need is a little bit of cooking. And again, really versatile. So yeah, and here we go. I was going to say this is one of the air fryer options I was speaking about before. So these are Moroccan spice sweet potatoes. So again, pre-flavored for you, quite interesting. And all you need to do is just, yeah, simply chuck it in the yeah, in the air fryer. And then yeah, for a bit of fiber and veg, just to add yeah, again, another salad kit. Next one is a little bit of a yeah, a stir fry. So again, yeah, you know, you can get sort of pre-cut beef strips, even chicken. You can get, you know, tenderloin or diced chicken ready to go. Likewise with so with the veggies, you can get obviously, you know, frozen veggie stir fry mixes, but then now they've got them in just the fridge section as well. So yeah, so that's an option. You know, if you're making, you know, stir fry within the week or that night, that's a, yeah, great option if you're going to use the veggies straight away. Yeah, and then basically, yeah, just going for a marinade that's been, yeah, pre-made with a bit of noodles, and yeah, you've definitely got yourself a meal there within less than 30 minutes. Everybody love, well, I say that very, very generalized, but most people love a good fish and chip. And even if, you know, you're quite impartial to fish, yeah, people do lean towards a nice battered fish. So again, there's some great options there. And some of them are, you know, lightly battered so that, again, they are a little bit more calorie friendly. And because, yeah, I suppose going through an air fryer, you're not needing to deep fry them. These are also great in the oven as well. So there's some options. Also saves, you know, a lot of time battering fish or, yeah, any protein can be quite time consuming. So it's done for you. Simply put some air fryer, some chips in the air fryer or oven, and again, another salad kit, and you've got yourself a, yeah, sort of fish and chip for, yeah, hot Friday night, for example. Another one that people, I love this one, but nachos. I know it seems, yeah, somewhat a little bit silly, but again, it's quite a well-rounded meal. And you can, I suppose, if you're being mindful of, you know, carbohydrates per se, you can simply take out, you know, the corn chips and just make a, yeah, a nacho bowl, or simply swap it out for a bit of rice or cauliflower rice, as yeah, Kath was saying before. But
You know what
yeah,
we do for that, Steph?
yeah,
We use a bit of
yeah,
mountain bread,
yeah,
slice it the
yes,
diagonal into
yeah,
triangles, spray it with a little bit of olive oil, pop it in the oven, and they crisp up nicely into some healthy
yeah.
corn chips. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, and then yeah, obviously, you know, you can yeah, I suppose increase the difficulty by making the, you know, guacamole yourself and pre-cutting, you know, all the ingredients that go into the mince mixture. But again, the great thing is you can find lots of pre-made yeah, sizzle sauces, yeah, spices, and as you can see there, you know, there's some great guacamole options, yeah, just in the fridge. Beautiful. Roast chicken goes a long way. I know, you know, culturally we rely quite a lot on a good cooked chicken from the supermarket. So again, really, really versatile. So, you know, putting it in a wrap, sandwich, even just a filler for a salad as well. So obviously a very plain option there with just a, yeah, bit of lettuce and cheese, and again, using a bit of a sauce, and you've got, again, a really awesome meal. leveling it up a little bit. I've just, myself seen that, the one down the bottom, so Coles specifically have done, basically pre-made, slow-cooked pork. There's lamb, chicken as well. They've been pre-marinated. Again, all you need with these ones, you just need to chuck it in the oven for 30 minutes, just so it heats up evenly. But great, addition to make, a souvlaki if you, want to mix things up a little bit as well. So that's an option there. Dumplings have sort of hit sort of boomed a little bit, so a lot of different versions at the moment, but really calorie friendly and quite tasty, really easy to make. So again, air fryer, you can do them in the pan or microwave, so really, really versatile. Great source of protein as well. And then again, just sort of pairing that with a bit of fiber, and if you need a little bit more sustenance, that's where something like a fried rice can sort of come into the mix as well. And then, I suppose, pasta. So I know I know pasta is, can be sort of demonized in a way, but pasta itself can actually be quite a good source of protein. It does come down to, the portion, but as you can see here, there's a lot more high protein pastas available on the market as well. So just within themselves, they're a great source of protein. If you're wanting to reduce, the carbohydrate content, that's where you can beef up the pasta, pardon the pun, but sort of beef up the pasta a little bit more with some veggies. So throwing in, I've just put some mushrooms in there, but adding in some capsicum, carrot, celery, spinach, so making it quite a vegetable heavy pasta. But again, just going for a simple tomato based sauce there to bring it all together.
Love those dietitian jokes,
Yeah,
beef
and I genuinely did not mean that one. And then look, lastly, I suppose keeping with the Italian theme is homemade pizzas as well. So again, on the market there's a lot of sort of lower carb, higher protein options. Definitely not to demonize carbohydrates, but I know that's one thing that we play around with at Olivia. So that's where it can be quite handy to sort of go for those options. You've got a little bit more protein with the base. Again, you can be as inventive as you like, but usually, as you can see, you've got your pre-made, pre-cooked roast chicken breast there that's already been sort of cut up for you. So basically, it's just simply sprinkling all these ingredients on top and whacking it in the oven. And again, you've got a really well balanced meal there as well. So that was pretty much exhausted my creativity for all the supermarket options I've come across. But look, it's ever expanding, and there's new products popping in every single, I'll be pretty confident to say every single day. So like I said, this is not exhaustive, but it's just to sort of get the ideas flowing.
Awesome.
As well.
That's great, Stefania.
And then look here, we've just got some lower calorie sort of condiments that can elevate any of the options above. So some of these are more sort of brand specific, as I suppose they're not all made sort of equally. So these ones tend to be the lower calorie options out there, and they as you can see, they vary. So there's lots of cuisines and cultures that are being considered there as well, so they lend themselves quite nicely. And then, look, the last little page, as we mentioned before, was, these pre-prepared meals or even meal delivery services. So things like, I suppose some of them are the ones down here. So Be Fit Foods you can find in sort of selected supermarkets, but they're mainly online. Thrive, Chef Good, Macros. Again, Macros are sort of making their way into the supermarket, but again, mostly sort of online. Solara and Garden of Vegan tend to be more of your plant-based options there. So they're in there. But
Stefania, do you just want to speak to some of those pre-prepared meals above? What are your favorite ones there? Have you got any comments about the preferred ones there? Or
look, I was going to say I definitely have my my preferences. And to be honest, I'm not overly I would say critical. I think I'm pretty open with with food. It doesn't take a lot to impress me. So I know sometimes I'm not the best judge. But genuinely having conversations with people, they've mentioned, they've tried and tested some and they've just found what's worked for them. For off the top of my head, just looking at the screen here, I've had some people that absolutely love my Muscle Chef and really don't like U foods. and then the next client comes in, vice versa. They really don't
Yeah.
like my muscle chef, but have really loved you food. So my advice is just to, yeah, give some a go. Go for the ones obviously that's, yeah, speak to you, or that you lean towards. Yeah, and just go from there. So obviously there's only, yeah, X amount available, in supermarkets. So we tend to find the online options, yeah, obviously house a lot more options from just the variety, but also tend to cater to particular sort of dietary preferences, or intolerances, allergies. But they're also great as well because they've got yeah, sort of I suppose packages where you can, yeah, just order, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus minus snacks that fit within, a calorie goal. And or it can be just as simple as ordering, lunches and dinners for 5 days a week. So they're really versatile as well, and can be quite handy. But yeah, otherwise just popping down into the supermarket if there's a few you like, just want to have them for a just in case meal, then they again, quite easy to have in the fridge or freezer. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh,
Wow, so comprehensive, so helpful. I love, everything that you've done there, from, the kitchen and the sort of pantry fridge essentials to even the cooking ware that we use, and meal ideas, to pre-prepared meals. What I love about these pre-prepared meals is it's great if you've got, like, those nights where you just come home and you can't be
yeah.
bothered cooking and you're tired. You kind of go for your healthy takeaway from the freezer,
Yep.
and it's not doing any damage, and and it's okay to do that.
Oh, 100%.
It's about just doing the best that you can with nutrition, and but sometimes the best that you can will be one of these meals rather than, a takeaway meal. So yeah, I think it's great.
Absolutely.
It's great to have all these resources. Thank you so much, Stefania, for such a comprehensive and really helpful presentation tonight. I'm sure that many of our patients will find this really helpful in inspiring them with their meal ideas. If you do have any questions for Stefania, or if you've got something where you think you need some more specific advice, feel free to book a time with her.
Yeah.
Stefania will be offering a Q&A if you have any sort of, whether you think, oh, I've just got a little question I want to ask, but I don't think I need a consultation. She's going to be available on Fridays between 1 and 2, starting from April, 5th of April. So yeah, make sure you jump on board and ask any questions that you might have. But thanks everyone for your attention tonight,
Thank
and we look
you.
forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone.